Hey, Internet. It's Paul.
Yes.
It's Matt. Post-Thanksgiving. Back from Georgia. And did you have a good Thanksgiving, sir?
I did. It was good.
Excellent.
Fortunately, all my socks were dirty, so I couldn't.
All of your what?
Socks.
Your socks were dirty?
Yeah, so I couldn't get a show up.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where that was going. I got it. Sock puppets. We did not see a sock puppet show from
you
Paul.
didn't. No, sorry.
And
Sorry about that.
we are all the lesser for it.
You are.
Damn it. All right. Well, we are here talking about Mr. Robot, Season 3, Episode 7,
Yes.
Frederick and Tanya.
Yes.
Quick recap. Attempting to be a quick recap. All right, here we go. Before we get into this. All right. All right, we pick up pretty much immediately where the last episode, Kill Process, left off. You could say that these are like the last 3 episodes have all been basically the same day.
Sure.
At least this doesn't end in the same day, but it begins in the same day. And it's, oh my God, everything blew up.
Yep.
And Elliot is like, buh, runs to his psychiatrist, psychologist, whichever, shrink, Krista, I believe. Yeah. And basically freaks out in the telling, and he's trying to confess, basically.
Yeah.
And in that, Mr. Robot emerges, and we never see Elliot again the rest of the episode. Right. We do see him in the trailers for the next episode, so he's back at that point. But we don't have the Elliot narrator for this episode.
No, not at all.
Mr. Robot basically tells Krista, hey, look, I'm responsible for this stuff.
Sure.
And it's all about me. And she's like, so delusions of grandeur, that kind of matches your profile. He's like, oh, yeah, well, do the math.
Yep.
And she does the math and starts to believe that maybe Elliot is responsible for 5'9" and such. And eventually goes and talks to her counselor about it, who's like, that everybody talks about that. And even if so, don't talk about it.
Don't do it.
You're dumb. Boo.
Yeah, that's against your ethics. You'll lose your license, stupid woman.
So that's a plot point that will probably percolate along at some point here. Because
he didn't say that he was going to commit an act after that. Then you could.
But no,
here's something I did in the past.
Acts. So she's going to have to kind of make probably a career choice at some point, perhaps. But not this episode.
No.
So other things we see, the Frederick and Tanya, for whom the show is named, are actually Trenton and Mobley, the lovable F Society misfits of science, who we last saw at the end of season 2.
Yes.
Being confronted by Leon.
Yes.
He asked them for the time, and now what we know is he kidnapped him.
Yeah. And
also killed Mobley's roommate.
Right.
Slit his throat, which he seems to be pretty good at.
Oh, yes.
So...
Yeah, was it him who saying he prefers a knife?
Yes, I think it's true. And then we see it the whole time. He's like, hey, you know where this has been? We kind of know where it's been. He's been killing Nazis with it. So he takes them out to the desert and has them...
You know what, though? I was getting confused with Punishers.
Oh.
Talking about knives, too.
Oh. Well, he did talk about knives.
He did. Someone could be just loose and shoot somebody.
We will be talking about The Punisher probably this week as well, because we have both seen the whole thing now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We're jumping off topic just for a few seconds.
No, but, 2 different shows. Very much in favor of knives.
The Punisher, the scene of Punisher trying to be a dad. Whew. Yeah, here's how you teach lessons. Hold a knife to a kid's throat and threaten to kill him with it. And then he just then go play catch. Then next thing you know, you're just playing catch with him. That's how that works. All right. Anyway, okay. So back.
Robot.
Okay. So there's a little comedic scene in the desert where they attempt to, where Mobley and Trenton try to drive away, but she can't drive.
No. And
so she drives, she doesn't even have a road.
No.
It's like, you have a desert landscape. Just don't hit the rock.
Yeah.
She drives into the rock. Yeah. I mean, yes, they could have escaped, but in the logic of the show, they were not going to escape. So one way or another, they were going to meet their... But they could have really screwed Leon over if they'd have just gotten away in that moment.
Yeah. So he had a priceless reaction like,
he was like, what? and then a caddy. So the whole thing has a comical beat to it, and yet it is the undercurrent is like, oh, bad times are coming.
Yes.
Which they do come. So we've also got Wellick. We mentioned he has named Mobley and Trenton as the plotters, the people who kidnapped him.
Yes,
he claims, and we know that Dominique, the FBI agent's not buying it, but her superior, who is on the take, is totally buying it. Obviously, he'd been paid to.
Yep. There's still a question of whether or not it's like, whenever she's like, hey, it's like, is she figuring that out?
Yeah.
It's like she's said hey a number of times, though, and then, like, still talking to him like, oh, yeah, you can trust him.
Yeah, I know. I was pretty convinced a couple episodes ago, like, okay, she's on to him.
Right.
No. Are you
that?
No. Okay. So he then basically is kind of extra cruel to Wellick. He goes in, kind of without the cameras on, is like, now we're alone.
Well,
let me confide in you. As you know, I'm in the Dark Army. If you say anything, I'm going to do horrible things to you and your remaining kid. And by the way, your wife's dead. She was killed off by her lover. Take that, you.
Well, I mean, he was asking about it, and everybody else is like, okay, I'll see what can be done. I'll bring that upstairs instead of saying, she's dead. It's like one thing you don't want is, oh, I don't want to cooperate anymore. You don't want that.
Right.
So, especially since, or it's like, maybe I'll start telling the truth instead of these lies that I've been told.
See, I was just thinking to myself, I guess we're deviating just a little bit in terms of telling the story. We're just going to talk about this for a second. But, he's crying. All right, Wellick breaks down and cries in his moment. I have a feeling the next emotion he would feel, though, would be anger. And I'm just saying, like, there's a way you could phrase that, right? You could say, hey, by the way, I know you've been looking to see your wife. Unfortunately, she has been murdered. Not by us, but by this guy.
Tell him.
And it's, you know what I mean? Like, in other words, she's dead, but it's not... The way he phrased it was like, and toe the line or we'll do the same, basically. Not we'll kill you, but we'll kill your son or whatever. And it was just like you're trying... He is antagonistic to you now. Like, he fears you, but, he also is probably like, if he could screw them over and do it in some...
That saves his kid?
Well, right. I'm just saying, I could see a situation where the tables turn.
I feel
where Wellick's like, oh, now I can get my vengeance.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the FBI guy is sort of like, shoot, they're screwing me, and I don't have a choice in this.
Yeah.
So, and they're screwing you too, buddy. So,
Yeah, which we do learn everyone is basically getting screwed over.
Oh, yeah.
The bad guys are completely in charge at this point.
Right.
And so that's one of the things. So Mr. Robot, who has now emerged after talking to the psychiatrist, goes to confront Irving to say, hey, this wasn't my plan. What happened to my plan? And
it's all been perverted by rich people.
He is knocked out by Irving's goons.
Yep.
And when he wakes up, he's in a car, and Irving has taken him, I guess, specifically to that spot just to see this rooftop party. I mean,
this will help you.
Yeah, like, oh, stop here. There's a rooftop party. Good, okay, good. Wake him up. And so he shows him that there are these rich people up on a rooftop in Manhattan just having a good time.
Yep.
And he's like, see those people? They're having a good time, even though we're like less than 24 hours away from thousands of people dying and 71 buildings blowing up. They don't care. And those are the people that run everything. And if you thought you were in control, you never were.
Yep.
The only reason you were allowed to continue is because those people wanted it to happen.
Yep.
And I think that does get into Mr. Robot's personality, his psyche.
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of where we leave off with him, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's less of
the last time we see. And we've also got Darlene is still hanging out with Angela, who is now like a mental vegetable at the moment. Her guilt at having caused thousands of deaths has just like, she's catatonic basically.
Yeah.
And she's watching the same footage of a building exploding and hundreds of people dying and then rewinding it.
Still wants to believe that whatever, we still don't know, but it feels like every step closer, somehow she believed that time would go back.
Yeah. And you called it, were pretty good at calling this. I think it was maybe even in the last show, but we were talking about is this time travel thing something they're actually going for, or is it merely something that White Rose convinced Angela in order to get manipulate her? And I think you said it's just a manipulative tactic, and I feel like that's true.
Yeah, I think you agreed.
Yeah, I agree. I went like, no way, it's all about time travel. But you were very affirmative about it, is my point.
Oh, I was saying if it was the case, because I don't know, I would, they'd have to prove it to me. Prove that there wasn't a shitty-ass thing to do.
So she wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
It seems like, she wanted her parents back, and White Rose knew what buttons to push, needed her help, and so manipulated her, and now, so he's wrecked her as well, basically.
Yeah.
I keep getting Anyway, White Rose has, it's another person who she stepped on on the way to success. We do have a moment with White Rose. They're back at Mar-a-Lago. Price and White Rose are talking, and Price is basically just dumbfounded.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you did all this.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You
got what you wanted.
To what? But you got all the things. You got the Congo. What? And White Rose is just like, no, the company's going to go on. It'll go fine. He's like, Price is like, but I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like, why did? And basically the thought is, well, because I had to ask you twice. Like he didn't get rid of Angela's lawsuit.
Well, Angela,
enough.
really?
Or Angela, yeah. And so that, at least theoretically, that is the excuse given.
Yeah.
We don't know necessarily. There might be an underlying thing here, but at the bare minimum, it's a catty thing.
Yes.
Yes. And that's where we leave Price, who is now, a man without a company, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe becomes another. Maybe he has Russian connections, so he can become a part of Trump's campaign.
Oh wow! Yeah, okay, good point. We've got, so obviously the Trenton Mobley thing ends very sadly, tragically. They are the patsies, and so they're set up in this garage with all this electronic stuff, and they look guilty basically.
Yes,
and then are killed, and it's made to look like a suicide. Like, the cops are getting too close. We had to kill each other. We had to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
And
it suggested that they were going to make another attack.
Right, which because they had an F Society message. It was like, you thought that was bad. We'll wait till tomorrow.
And they had plans for
which theoretically they didn't actually have plans. No. There were no actual plans, but there were going to be planes.
Like physical,
but they made it look like, this is that plan. They were going to do something with the planes. As the Dark Army want to do, they made it look really convincing.
Yes, yeah.
And so the FBI shows up. They had a little like, will the FBI arrive at the right moment? And it was obviously not the same time. And they show up. They're dead. They've been long dead.
Wrong moment.
The Dark Army's no longer there. And we end with Dominique standing in, pinning the name White Rose in the middle of her web of that standard, the board that every cop has that's trying to solve a big case. Question mark, and she's like, "You're going to get away with this, aren't you?" And that's the end of the episode. Oh, one thing real quickly too. Trenton, here's one little plot point that maybe might come about. Trenton did mention when they're in the car that she had a thing. Would set an email with a timer that would send out some kind of notification.
Interesting.
So that may be a thing. That might be a way that the Dark Army's plan starts to unravel.
Interesting.
I assume she was speaking truthfully about that.
Yeah, there was no reason for it. I mean, they were alone in the car.
I mean, the only reason to do it would just be to maybe give Mobley hope, like, hey, no, I did a thing. I didn't do a thing, but it sounded like she'd done the thing. Yeah. So that is a potential. Someone's going to get an email with some incriminating stuff or nothing. Yes. Most likely, maybe Elliot. I don't know. What are some thoughts? General thoughts, sir?
They really, it really seems like they're propelling. I thought it was interesting that White Rose imagined, she said, too big to fail. And so, okay, then it means that even what Angela wanted then wouldn't occur, right? Because if White Rose is correct, then E-Core still goes on.
True. Oh, good point.
But yeah, it seems, Price is probably finished, like she thought.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Then what is it for then?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What was the purpose of all this?
What I mean, in terms of yes, it really is White Rose's plan that causes all this turmoil to occur, and then the Bitcoin plan succeeds.
Or was it E-Coin? I think.
No, Bitcoin was the other people. E-Coin was like, hey, we want ours to be worth something.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah. So Elliot. Wanted to take down E-Core, wanted to take down, and I guess in some ways the plan, at least as it originally started, seemed to be moving on that path.
Yeah.
But basically what happened was he created enough chaos that Dark Army could move in, and although it seems like Dark Army was moving in ahead of time, so maybe I'm even wrong. That's what I thought before was in the chaos caused by the initial plan, the Dark Army was able to infiltrate all the levels of government security and stuff, and then just take over. But now that after this episode, it sounds more like Dark Army was there all along.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, doing their thing.
It's not like they came to that FBI supervisor late. He was trying to steer her off the whole time.
Yeah.
So
this
and Price not like, hey, nice to meet you. He had set up that he got the job because of White Rose. So he only became that way because White Rose manipulated to get him into that position in the first place.
Right.
So for the course of the whole series.
Now, interestingly, though, remember we did see a conversation earlier this season between White Rose and his minion, whatever that guy is.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And he's like,
minion.
yeah, once we finish with Elliot, we'll kill him off. But I forgot how he said it exactly. But basically, that was the idea. It's like, look, he's passionate. Passionate people do good. We can channel them,
as we did with his father, or something. Right. As you said.
And then after we're done with him, we'll kill him off. So are they just not done with him? Is there some other part of this plan, or why didn't they just bump him off?
Right. I mean, perhaps he's a fail-safe.
And I figured they'd pin it on him. But,
right. And that's what.
And they had the picture.
That's what Mr. Robot thought.
It was one of the pictures that Wellick was looking at. Look, identify these. Pick the people, and the second picture he looked at was Elliot, and he's like,
yeah, maybe it's just a backup. Like, oh, that's not working. Okay, we always got Elliot.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, certainly the FBI should be looking for him, even if it's like, oh, we like this plan of these two people that did this. Who was that guy that?
Right, you would think he'd be a person of interest.
Yes,
in all this. So this episode did feel like, because it was the third part of this day.
Yes.
So the first part of the day we had the kill process was the second one. Runtime error. Runtime error starts with is basically the riot is what that is. And it's the beginning of that day. Then later in the day is kill process when we, Elliott's struggling to stop the bomb. Seems like he stopped it.
Yes.
And then we find out boom, 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 and now this was the post-bombing reaction.
Yes.
And so I think all three of those episodes kind of are almost like one big thing. Because I did notice in the trailer for the next episode it says, it's been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to jump ahead. So these are like their own little sub-season on these 3 episodes. And it does end with, the bad guys pretty much won in every possible way.
Empire Strikes Back, boy.
It is Empire Strikes Back-y. You can't name someone on the good side that is actually in a good way.
Even somebody like on the bad side, like Price, didn't win.
Yeah. So what we've set up then is what we talked about way before, which was White Rose is our ultimate villain, and you're going to have perhaps these disparate forces will come together to try to take White Rose down? I mean, maybe former enemies will become friends. What's the thing with, for instance, they've paid attention to this a lot. Well, I say a lot. Multiple times in the last couple episodes. Santiago is on the phone with his mom.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, see, what is that all about?
To me,
it sounds like a plot point.
What they're setting up, is because Darlene is a federal witness, that's the only way to get him and take her out. So be like, oh, you don't want anything to happen to your mom, do you? You better go and kill Darlene. Yeah. Like, we've seen now, mom is important to him. Yeah. And that's about all we really know about it. That's all we know. So, and then once Darlene's dead, then it's like, oh, we haven't been able to find and kill
You've
Elliot.
got the Darlene story. She's still alive. And we do see her talking in the trailer for next episode, so she's still alive for at least part of that episode.
Yeah, I don't
She's only got 3 episodes. You're thinking this season, I assume.
I think,
I agree with you that I feel like somewhere in the next 3 episodes.
Like, that's when my brain's gone. Yeah. That's all.
That'll really solidify the boo, White Rose must be taken down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at all costs. Mr. Robot and Elliot combining.
The other one, it's either, I feel like either Angela or Darlene. Certainly because
there's no need to kill Angela at this point.
Well,
she's got to come back. Somebody's got to bring her back.
Yes, I mean, it might just be like the cap to this really bad point. You are so wrong. Blam.
I feel like they've hit the. I think killing off Mobley and Trenton was the low point. I think that is the low point, and I think we're going to start to see an uptick in good guy. In the balance. I think the balance is going to start to shift.
You don't think that Darlene would be even lower?
Oh, good point. If they're going to bump her, okay, good point. That would be, but I think they're going to have a little. You're going to have a little aperitif, a little cleanse the palate first, and then. Oh, by the way, just in case you thought things were going well, so I think we'll bump, and then bam.
I mean, that's what I think is going to happen, and I think the show's been really good at making me.
That's a good point.
Being wrong.
And defy expectations. Yeah, so now, I also said this season. I think it's supposed to be the theory is like a 5-season deal. I don't think it's ending. In other words, in 3 episodes.
So definitely not.
Right. So in other words, the arc could continue to be bad.
Yes.
Through the end of the season.
Don't worry, folks.
Speaking of, but that said, there were a couple of fun beats in this. One of them was Leon talking about Frasier versus Knight Rider.
Yes.
And then they played the Knight Rider theme.
Yes, that's
which
true.
is awesome.
Don't agree though.
What do you not agree about?
He was all like, "Oh, how could a guy like that be getting women?" And it's like he's rich and famous. What have you never seen a rich and famous unattractive guy? He's not that bad. He's balding. Come on. I'm a big fan of Frasier, so there you go.
All right. I was like, what are you? Oh, he's a Frasier
really
fan.
Good
okay.
Show.
I never got into the Frasier show. Sorry, I know.
Wow.
I know. My parents tried to push me at it, and I was like,
good comedy.
Okay. Yes, smart.
Really good.
Okay. All right. Good. Knight Rider, awesome show. I did watch Knight Rider back in the day.
Wow, I couldn't make myself. I've seen episodes of it.
I laughed at it openly.
Oh, okay.
But there's something to that. It was so freaking campy. I mean, and it is interesting how, as Leon put it, it is a human and technology combining to achieve their ends.
Yes.
And so with the Kit was so powerful. In fact, I remember more than one episode where the Kit was the name of the car. Could electronically open deadbolt locks, which I never like. You would see him like. There'd be a door with a giant bar in front of it, and somehow the bar would go. You're like, wow, magnets? I don't know. Yay, nice job, car. Yes, Knight Rider. Classic show. I could go on about Knight Rider, but I won't. That'll be another show one day. Okay, so
an anti-rant,
but
it's the best.
One point being that while it was a hybrid of human and technology, it was really technology. Like David Hasselhoff really didn't add any. As soon as he was out of the car, he'd use his little watch phone to call the car to him because he was in trouble. Kid, I need you! Oh, God, why am I outside the car? And if the car was like there was once an episode, they had to use the grappling hook.
Oh.
And so the car would shoot a grappling hook and then pull something, right? And you would cut to a shot of David Hasselhoff inside the car holding the steering wheel really tight. Like, you're not doing anything. You could sit like this, and you would have just as much effect as, like, you're doing nothing. Get out of the car, in fact. You got ballast. Anyway, sorry.
Never had that in Frasier.
There was not. You sure there wasn't
No
a talking
hooks.
car in Frasier with a grappling
I'm sure
hook?
there was a dog that never talked. Eddie.
And he had the olden television he could play, which, in the car, which, by today's standards, whoo. Anyway, okay. So, Mr. Robot. What are some other interesting things we can divulge from this episode? We've got, so what were some other silly things? So Molly and Trenton, she can't drive, runs into a rock. He could have driven. That was the other thing. It was like, sure, his hands were bound, but his feet weren't. He could have just crawled in the front and then driven with the. Anyway. Yeah. But again, it wouldn't have mattered.
No.
By the plot, they were stuck in the. Yes. You're going to die at the end of this episode.
Yeah, I was thinking, boy, at some point, boy, it was dumb he didn't teach her how to drive. What are you going to do? Yeah. Maybe he's afraid of wait, those people who can't drive. Do you think it's those people who are escaped from the?
Bum bum bum. Yes, who do you think she sent the email to? Maybe she even mentioned it. I just can't remember what she said. She just had something that I'll set on a timer and it's going to go off to somebody. Maybe it's all society members. Maybe it's a news agency. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like it would have to be a news agency. I mean, maybe it's, WikiLeaks.
To make it topical.
Yeah. That's, a way that people turn over information.
Gotcha.
Certainly back then and, even still. So, the way that we've seen it in the past is, what is it? What do we offer it to a news agency then? And, so maybe that's how they'll do it.
Okay.
I wouldn't think that it doesn't feel like we've heard a lot from them being involved with, that part of the world. So
I hear you. Because of the Thanksgiving holiday, we're just days away from the next episode.
Yes.
So we will turn one around. We'll have 2 Mr. Robots this week, and probably a Punisher in there.
Yes.
Somewhere. So yes, I guess without further ado, done.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're wrapping up for today. Yeah. We will be back with episode 8. Yes, episode 8 or later this week. So subscribe if you want some notifications. Make a comment if you wish. And otherwise, that sock puppet's coming at some point. And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.